Oh, hey, welcome to Dirty Brushing, one of the few shows out there that's not afraid to take a stab at things. I'm your host, Jonathan Jernigan, and today we are painting Homer Simpson. Alright, so first we want to plan out where Homer's actually going to go. Now, Homer's pretty easy to draw. You always want to start out with the center eye. You can either draw a full circle or draw an almost kind of completed circle. You want to draw the nose. And just like that, the other eye. And to get his mouth just right, comes down and out in front of his nose. Alright, so now to finish out the rest of his head, you want, again, right above his eye, there's a little bitty bump, comes up like that. And you just want to draw a quick pat on the dome. And again, it stops right about where his eyes are. And again, his ear comes in about right there. And the neck comes down just like that. Now we're not going to worry about the hairs right now just because we're going to fill in our background, and then after that we'll add those final details in kind of towards the end. Now don't be afraid if you need to kind of come up here and course correct just a little bit, because we are going to be covering all this up. This is not the hair on the top of his head, this is just where I messed up. You should be doing yours in pencil anyway, that way you can just kind of erase it and draw the rest of his outfit. V, just like that. Bam. Bam. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and start to fill in the background, and I'm going to use my 1-inch brush. And since Homer is pretty much, he's like a lot of yellow in his face and stuff, I'm going to go ahead and use some colors that are kind of opposite of that. Blues and reds. And again, I'm just going to go in with these kind of X-shaped brush strokes and fill in my background. Whenever you're relatively happy with the way it looks, so just stop touching it. Kind of do whatever you do while the paint dries. Everywhere you look, everywhere there's a place of somebody who needs you. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is we want to fill in all of Homer's skin right here, just so we can kind of let that dry off before we move on to our next step. Now, Homer, of course, is mostly yellow, but I'm also going to be mixing in little bits of orange and a little bit of white. So the next step that we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding little bits of brown to kind of fill in all his muzzle kind of right here. Now I'm going to be alternating between the green and a little bit of black just to kind of give it some slightly varying tones. And again, I'm going to switch to the green. I want to brighten certain areas up. Remember, the black paint's like pepper, it's always easier to kind of add more and try and take it off once it's already on there. Just kind of work it down here on his chin. Again, if you add too much black, wipe away the excess paint from your brush and just use what's already on the canvas. Alright, now for Homer's eyes, I'm going to use the back of my 1-inch brush. I'm going to push it around, and again, use the back of the brush, dip it into some black paint. Now again, with the eyes, you just want to make sure you're consistent. You put them on the same spot on both sides of the eye. Stop! In the name! Oh, I've already done that one, I think. So now we're going to go ahead and outline our Homer and then add his hair and all that other stuff, just so that way he looks like an actual cartoon and not just like a weird version. Alright, so now for right here, to make him look a bit more complete. Now, the easiest way to think of Homer's ears is its Matt Groening signature. So there's an M. And then a G. I mean, you draw the letter E almost, but this right here is the letter G. Alright, so the very last thing that we're going to add is Homer's iconic hairstyle, which is right up here at the top, just those two little light bulb lines. So you can just start with one and make the same shape, kind of slightly off. Thank y'all for tuning in to yet another episode of Dirty Brushing. I'm your host, Jonathan Jernigan, and I always love painting or drawing Homer. It's one of my favorite characters to kind of mess around with. It's actually one of the first ones too. I've been drawing him since middle school. And like I said, be sure to tune in next week when I butcher more of your favorite classic songs, like this one. Ain't nothing gonna break my stride. Ain't nothing gonna slow me down. See y'all then. Shit.